Hi, we're Foster the People, and you're live in Limbo.
Baby, we lost our minds. We're gonna get what we can. But we're not doing it for the money, doing it for the money, doing it for the money, doing it for the money.
Hi, I'm Shannon from Live in Limbo, and we are sitting here with Foster the People. How are you guys doing today?
Pretty good.
Pretty
How
good.
you doing? Yeah.
I'm great. You know, the weather's not too hot, but
That's kind of perfect, actually.
yeah, I know. I mean, you guys are wearing jackets, so I'm like a little bit chilly, but I'm surviving. Are you guys excited to be playing some new songs at Wayhome tonight?
Yes, we are. Yeah, it's been like 2 years since we've been working on this new record, so we haven't. We just started kicking up playing live again, and it's nice to be working a lot of new songs into our set.
Yeah, it's super exciting. So you released Supermodel in 2014, so it's been 3 years since then. Obviously, a lot has changed. When you went into writing this album, did you have any grand ideas of what you wanted, or was it kind of just like, we're just going to go with it and see what comes out of it?
Yeah, this record was born out of experimentation and improvisation. So, can you hear me? Hello, sorry, I'm talking soft.
It's okay.
There's a band playing over there. I think it's.
Yeah, they've been going hard.
I think 2 Chainz.
Yeah, there was some Kendrick
Schoolboy
playing.
Q's over there.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
So we went in. We were improvising in the studio. So we didn't put limits on where the songs could go. So we were letting the music dictate the next part.
Yeah. Cool. So obviously a lot has changed in the world since 2014. Not to get too political here, but how has the outside influences influenced the album and how you what came out of it?
I mean, I think it influenced it a lot, actually, because pretty much when we first started working on this record was when things started to really kind of go sour, I feel like, globally.
Yeah.
The Syria crisis with ISIS and everything started to get really bad, and that started to affect Europe and started to, the political race in our country with Trump and Hillary and the leaks and just there's like a lot of turmoil. And so I think going into the record, it was important for us to, as artists, like to respond to what's happening in the world, for sure. But I think for us, it was to do something counter to the spirit of what was going on and try to make something joyful.
Yeah.
I think really kind of like looking at just how divided people were getting and being conscious that music is one of the most unifying things and wanting to make something that could really bring people together despite their differences.
Yeah, no, I agree. And I don't know, I personally, obviously I'm not an artist, but I think when artists have the power to reach so many people, and I think you should speak out about all the kind of, like, for a better word, the shit that's going on, especially when the times we're living in. So
yeah, and with Supermodel, it was interesting because that record, I felt like we were pretty comfortable and apathetic almost towards how other people were living, especially like in the US and living in, we live inside of a bubble, because we're in Los Angeles inside of the US, which you've got like a big bubble of the US and then this other bubble that's like LA. And so, I think with Supermodel, it was more outspoken and I guess more direct and like a little bit more like volatile and like acidic, kind of talking like directly to those things and those issues and almost wanting to kind of slap people around a bit, being like, hey, like, maybe you should like wake up a bit and like look around and see that, see what's really going on, see where things are headed. And then that thing that we're kind of like alluding to happened in like a really, really, in a worse way than I ever thought that it could.
Yeah.
So, and I mean, at this point, when we were working on this record, it didn't feel like people needed to be slapped anymore, that it needed to even be talked about. It felt like they needed a hug.
Yeah, no, I understand, because like, I remember back in 2015, I was saying to everyone, I was like, Trump isn't a joke, don't take this as a joke. And people now, it's like, you can't go on Twitter, you can't go on anything without seeing it all the time. And I think, yeah, it's kind of crappy because we all feel like we're living in a really shitty time, but I think people are starting to realize they can do something, right?
At least you guys have Trudeau.
Yeah.
That's a nice counterbalance. He's there.
Yeah.
And the new president of France too. That's another little beacon of hope.
It is, and that's what, like, you see Trudeau marching in the Pride Parade, and you're like, not all hope is lost in this world. We have Canada. It's a beacon of hope. So talking a bit about the new album, what I find is everything means something different from everyone. You can take a song and it can mean one thing to me and a completely different thing to you. So Sacred Hearts Club is the title of the album. What does it mean to you, and what do you want it to mean to everybody else?
Sacred Hearts Club is kind of based off the idea of people that are outsiders, people that kind of don't live within societal norms. People. I was traveling through Myanmar, Burma, with a friend, and we were on this boat, and with Jenna Malone, actually, who sings on Static Space Lover, and we were just kind of talking about, like, our group of friends, just talking about life, talking about art, talking about people from the past that have kind of challenged the way that everybody else was living. Like Da Vinci, like, with his like infamous sleep methods, or like Patti Smith or Bukowski or Hunter S. Thompson, like just people that you're just like, what makes them tick, and like what is it? And she's like, well, yeah, it's like the Sacred Hearts Club, and it stuck with me. And originally, SHC, it was just the song title. Yeah. But then I think like as the record started to kind of develop more and more, like that kind of became the mantra, and kind of a muse. Yeah. Yes,
So it wasn't like you went into it and were like, we're going to make this album about it. It was just like, wow, all of the songs we were writing are kind of relating to this, which is cool, right?
Yeah.
It's kind of like the opposite of how you would normally.
Yeah, it was really organic.
Yeah, that's awesome. So in 2011, you guys kind of blew up really fast with Pumped Up Kicks. I remember being in high school and it was all anyone would ever play. And since then, you've come a long way. But so has indie music, and so has the world of how we, as consumers, obviously consume music. So streaming is huge now. How do you stay above all of the other millions and millions of indie bands that are now can have Spotify and Apple Music as platforms? What sets you apart?
I mean, yeah, I don't know if we like really look at it as trying to like stay above anything. I mean, I think we're just, making art and pushing ourselves, competing with ourselves, to make something as brave as we can, and to connect with people, and I think live is something that is constantly evolving, that like we can play songs from Torches, we can play songs from any record, and they're always changing forms, new intros, new outros, new bridges, new transitions. And I think for us, that's like what keeps, like a song is like a living thing if you let it be, and it can continue to evolve over your lifetime. And I think that's something for us that keeps us pushing and keeps it interesting.
Yeah, that's what I like. I don't know if you guys have ever heard of Ben Howard, but he's an artist from the UK. And I've seen him a bunch of times live, and every single time I've seen him, he's playing the same record, but it's a different show. And for me, I love that, when you can go and you can go to multiple dates and you're like, did I just watch the same person I watched 2 days ago, And like that's important, I think, in the music industry, to always be changing and evolving, right? So just to wrap it up, I always like to ask, like, what is your opinion on Spotify and Apple Music and the streaming world we live in, as an artist's perspective?
I think it needs to be figured out. I mean, I think that in some ways it's been really healthy, for music to be shared, and I guess to have like a wider reach. I think that contractually, the way that it breaks out to artists right now isn't really, they haven't figured it out, and I don't think it's fair yet. I mean, I remember seeing like a check from that, I'm not gonna like name which one, but early on, and just laughing at it, like, wait, like after like millions and millions of streams, and like this is $400, like, and so I think like, right now, the funny thing is, and I've been talking to a lot of friends about this too, is that musicians don't have a union. Actors have SAG. And SAG's really powerful. Like the writers have the Writers Guild, the directors have the Directors Guild. Yeah. And like when those unions decide to like strike, or they want like better deals, everything shuts down. We live in LA, so like when the writers go on strike, those deals are sorted so quickly because like it'll come to the 12th hour and they're like, okay, well, we're striking. Like your entire city's going to lose billions of dollars over the next few months if you don't pay us, because all these TV shows are going to stop. Like everything, like everything's going to stop. And so those deals get sorted out, but musicians don't really have. We don't have a union. I feel like Jay-Z and like Taylor Swift and like Drake and like Kendrick and like I Beyonce, like are probably the only ones that could really like come forward like with their power of streaming to be like, okay, we're gonna like bring all this together, and people would. But musicians are kind of lone wolves. They're like, well, my life's good enough. Like, well, I don't whatever. Like, I don't want to ruffle any feathers.
Do
like,
anything. Yeah.
Fuck it. It's just like let's just play music and not think about it. But yeah.
Yeah, I was gonna say Taylor Swift is like the one who was like, I'm not putting my music on Spotify because you guys aren't paying enough money. And she did end up getting a settlement out of it. I don't know how much it was, and now she's back on Spotify. But think about it, if everyone was like, we're not putting our music on Spotify, how fast things would change.
Yeah, well, and the funny thing is too, I mean, thinking about it, not obviously not like don't want to talk about this, like beat it to death, but what I've heard is that, you know, they actually do pay out, but it's the deal that they have with the major labels, where the major labels are making a good amount of the money, but it's not really filtering down to the artists in the way that it should. And you know, whatever. Like, I'm not complaining. It's just it would be. I think that when everything switches digital, then it'll be an easier thing to quantify.
Yeah.
But when there's still like a hard copy of something that can get put, like once everybody's streaming, then I think that's going to be a little bit easier to figure out. You know,
there's like a revival of vinyls and stuff.
I know,
right?
huge. Yeah. It's like our vinyl for this record got pushed back months because they just have so many back orders. Like,
seriously though,
not that many factories. They're just like trying to keep up.
Yeah, I know. Like my dad is a vinyl player from like when he was younger, and he has stacks on stacks of vinyls, and like to this day he listens to the music I listen to. He listens to you guys, and like he buys the vinyl still, and that's pretty. Like he's 55 years old.
That's cool. That's how we sequenced this record. You know, we sequenced Sacred Hearts Club to be listened to on vinyl,
which is awesome, right?
Yeah.
All right. Well, thank you so much for sitting down and talking with us.
Thank you.
Good luck at the show tonight.